is up, everybody? My name is James D. Fiore, and this is Blackball. Okay. We have, over the last, say, 2.5 years, been speaking to various members of the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. And I've talked about this before, about how aspirational many of their stories are, especially when it comes to how one grows up in this organization, in this cult, and how it appears that there is not really a remedy or an antidote for the traumatic experiences that these people often experience, often as children. And a way to heal from the traumatic experiences that they feel when they are growing up in this church. As a person who's been open about my personal experiences with similar instances, and people that I know who weren't brought up in a cult, but may have been brought up in a small town or as part of a parish in a Catholic community, or evangelicals, or it often has religion attached to it, but it doesn't always have to. And what I find remarkable, it's actually twofold. I find two things remarkable. One, that this type of thing happens even to begin with. And the second thing that I find remarkable is that it always seems to be attached to one very specific thing, which is the weaponization of faith, and how a belief in an honest belief in something that is supposed to make you feel free and good and liberated and all of those wonderful things, that can be used as a weapon against you in order to garner silence for what has been done to you. I've had many guests on this show from the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, starting off with Cheryl Hope, who have told me their stories, their harrowing stories about being sexually, physically, mentally, emotionally abused by the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. And today, we have another guest. He was recently featured on the Australian documentary. I believe it was a documentary. It could have been a magazine show called Big Brethren. And he's here today to tell us his story. His name is Mick Dover. Mick, how are you, buddy?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. First of all, we've talked a few times. I find you very first of all, I find you kind of eccentric in a good way. I'm really happy about that, by the way. When I talk to you, I feel like, first of all, I'm one of those guys where I'm so Canadian, where when I watch things like British soap operas, I feel like I need subtitles. But you're Australian, so I feel like I need like a whole team of people giving subtitles. But then after I talk to you for 5 minutes, I almost feel Australian. Like you've made me feel like I get you now. And I think that has a lot to do with with not your accent, but with the feeling behind the words that you use. So I want to start this off in a way that is comfortable for you and kind of easy, by asking you, first of all, what are your first memories being brought up in the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church?
My first memories, I would suggest to you that my first memories are knowing that it was family and the brethren in my life.
Was there, I've also asked this to ex-members, and there's no wrong answer, because I feel like if I was a young kid and I was being brought up in the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, like if there was no abuse happening, obviously at the time or whatever, that maybe I would feel pretty happy. Like this was a great place. Like, do you remember feeling happy about being inside?
No, that's the sad part. That's the part that probably eats up, is I wanted to be part of it, but I was, shall I say, the black sheep in the whole lot of them. If there was anyone to be blamed for doing the wrong thing, I was the first. And I'd never had a problem with telling it how it was. If I was ever asked, did you do that? I'd go, yeah, so what? And people don't respond well to that, because being blunt with them saves them asking 1,000 questions to get the answer they want to hear.
Yeah.
But that's confusing.
You know what? That I find it really interesting. I don't think you're the first one to tell me that, but it's pretty rare. Normally, one of the things that are that's very conflicting to ex-members is that they have happy memories inside, and
Well, I
then
don't.
it all goes to shit. But you're saying that it's something that was terrible from the beginning.
Yep. Look, just the conforming to the expectations of different ones. See, I don't know whether people in there understand, but people on the outside don't know. Our family was divided, and the best way of explaining it to you is before 11 years of age, I'd already been kicked out of home and treated as if, I was responsible for the things happening around me. I never owned that responsibility. I still don't. I look at it like this. I got out as quick as I could, and given the restrictions and the method that I had to use just to get out. An example I'll give you is I rented a truck and numerous times did so, but the keys were stolen or something was done, or there was even the most violent exit was slamming doors into my arm while I was carrying something, or, just to prevent me leaving. And I couldn't comprehend it. It was one of the hardest things to realise that, hey, I'm leaving, I'll leave everything behind. And since then, I've tried to distance myself by being anonymous out there. I'm talking about couldn't even travel overseas because I couldn't get a birth certificate that had enough information, or even with my driver's license. I was basically a non-identity. And the reason for that is I planned that is because everything was taken from me. When you have everything taken from you, you've got nothing to lose. It's as simple as that. And I've tried to progress from there. But one of the things I've always done is make sure that I'm careful about what I do, but blatant. And I have no compunction about it. I don't hold back. If somebody says something that's untoward, I'll fight back. But I've realised that I'm wasting my effort, because if you're not understanding of the brethren, you have no hope of getting someone to understand you, because what they say is not what they do.
Do you think that that perfunctory disposition is as a result of what happened to you, or your reaction to what happened to you in the cult, or do you think that that was your sort of organic disposition even before any bad things happened to you by the hands of the elders or whoever in the church?
Well, maybe the question needs to be asked, am I a believer? See, today I'm not. Then I was. That was the conflict. The conflict was believing so fervently in what I was brought up to understand. I read the Bible back to front. I knew the hymns. I knew the Bible by scripture by verse. Today, I have blanked that out. That has taken me roughly about 45 years guaranteed to just about switch off. Every so often things come back in my head that you've read and you remember. But seriously, I've done, I think, an incredible job to free myself of being forced to believe. I now choose who I associate with for that reason. It's
Do you
my
feel
choice.
that? Yeah, go ahead.
Go on, no, you go for it. You ask
I
the
was just
questions.
gonna. Yeah, I know. I was gonna ask. Do you think that if you were given an opportunity to be raised in an environment that wasn't so dark and abusive, that you might be a believer today?
Well, no, I don't. I'll explain it to you like this. You can't do those sort of things, whether it's physical, sexual, spiritual, the mental abuse, whatever it is. You can't do that if you claim to be a Christian. If you take the fundamentals out of what most people believe in the peace state, that's all I'm looking for in my life from here on, is actual peace. I need it to be out there. because no one listened. Today I've got the audience right now, and I'm going to keep doing it because they have an attitude that if they can't fix it, they will make it so that you are one of the two things: shut up or withdrawn from. And that's a situation, because once you're on your own, you are seriously on your own. But the part that I find most fascinating, and the influence of my upbringing, was I was denied education, but I was also living away from my parents. And it was all the way the brethren planned it. It was never consultation as to, listen, do you want to stay with your parents or do you want to leave? It was never that. It was that you give up all the worldly things to give yourself a place with God. Well, it's not up for discussion about my beliefs or my terminology of how I see things. I became a non-believer for the simple fact I needed to open my eyes and embrace other people's points of view.
Okay. First of all, that is like it's almost, you just gave us a crash course in what it's like to have sort of a healthy coping mechanism with things that are otherwise horrendous, I would say.
No, I wouldn't call it healthy because I've tried.
Well, touche. Give me an idea of what it was like chronologically as you were growing up in the church, from like a toddler. Well, what's your earliest memories, and then go on from there, and then kind of stop when we get to the age where the abuse started, and then I'll have different questions.
Well, I think it's important that you understand that I was abused from 5 years of age. Guaranteed, got clear memories about incidences. I dwell on, and I can't shake it out of my head. And I reckon I'm a pretty powerful person. I can't shake out of my experiences out of my life. In other words, I'll tell you, smells, tastes, things I hear. The best example I'd give you is, for me, was my wife could never understand why, as soon as she made a quick move, I'd duck or somehow be prepared, grab your fist. I can definitely stop you, because it's lightning reaction that people may not understand. But if you're violently belted, you look to protect yourself. And in doing that, you become like a cat on hot bricks. Listen, as a child, I used to sit in a double bunk bed that seriously sit up in the corner and not go to sleep with the fear of being hauled out for a belting or to be abused. And then as it got worse, as I got older, my rebellious run off and take off, flight, fight, whatever it took to just get away, became predominant when things got more serious. For example, I got thrown through a shower screen. The story went round, Mick fell through it, he slipped in the bath. What a load of crock. And the abuse that happened at that time was because they were sprung. They were caught. It was to be acknowledged that somehow there's got to be a cover up. I'll give you an example. I went to the Ivanhoe Clinic, which is the opposite direction to two hospitals, to be stitched up with 64 internal and 64 external stitches without any injections, and held down by 8 people. Now, so you can understand that, and I don't want to be...
that would be in your rectum?
No. What happened was I was thrown through a shower screen. I was taken because my father and Jean Cox, I shouldn't have used the names, I should have pulled back. I'm sorry. Can you delete them? Because I want to... No, probably not, because it's live stream. Well, then I don't care. But
well, that's just the shower scene. There's lots more.
Yeah. The point I make to you is that it's got to be shown for what it is, because the environment you grow up in has a huge reflection on your responses to things for the rest of your life. I've not I've had to manage anger every day to the point where it's not impossible for me to break your bloody neck.
You know what's funny is that not funny at all, actually. But a lot of people will think that what I just said, when I assumed that the stitches were in your private areas, would think that's like a slip of the tongue for me. You know what? I've interviewed dozens of people from the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church and heard so many horror stories that for some reason my mind automatically went to rape in that shower.
Yeah,
Right?
but
Yeah.
it is rape. The whole thing is rape. They take your mind, they control your body, and whatever you do, they make judgment. The part that I'm more frustrated with the brethren, there's no such thing as forgiveness, because if there was, they wouldn't go about the things they've done. I go back to that getting flung through the shower screen and and I can go right into the detail of wrapping myself up. You asked me about whether I have memories. Yes, they're violent memories. They're sick. But the point I make to you is, to cover it up, I was punished. I was locked up for 7 days.
Yeah.
Now, the important part of that is I've also had water and bread given to me as a substitute for a normal meal, because that's the punishment. You're locked up, you're shut up, withdrawn from, and I've even had, the water in the bowl put there, the saucer with the bloody bread in it, as a humiliation thing, stuck outside the door and told, now you can come out. When the door opened, it was unlocked to happen. When the door closed, it was locked up to happen.
What age group? Give me the age gap. Give me the age gap.
7.
No, what I'm going to say is the age gap from when your earliest memory of being put under that horrible abuse to the oldest age before you left. Like, how many years is that?
I left at 22 years of age. It was the 31st of October 1982. And that was the first time I went to the bloke that I was living with, a really beautiful person. And I said, I can't do this anymore. His words were to me, Mick, I can't help you. I knew why. He couldn't help me because he'd lose his life. He knew what had happened because
that's
I'd
the
lived
insidious. That's the insidious. That's one of the insidious aspects of the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, is that there is this, and I've heard it from Richard Marsh, I've heard it from Cheryl Hope, I've heard it from other people, where one of the fears among people that leave is that they have a fear in common with the people they leave behind, which is that the people that are left behind are going to suffer if the person that leaves behaves in a certain way.
Well, here's a classic example. My whole family was divided. I came home one day and the bags were all packed and they were getting shipped out to Brethren cars. And I went to my grandmother's step grandmother's home, and I was bewildered. Is the simplest way of putting it. And my youngest brother was only 4 years of age. You've got to look at both my parents. You've got to look at those around us. It was not family inclusive. If there was any time that I honestly believe the brethren were well treated when they came into my parents' home, but that was a facade. It was alcohol and great food, and that's all you knew about the Dovers. Oh, no, they were filthy rich. Well, I've never seen any of that. Not 1 cent of it. I've had more taken from me. Not the monetary hurts. The emotional stress of learning how to manage anger. Anger that they call bitterness. No, I'm not bitter. I'd forgive. In actual fact, I have forgiven. That's why I'm on the pathway of recovery. It's a long, long road. I'll tell you why it is a long road.
Can you describe that forgiveness for me? Because I have struggled with the concept I'm a non-believer as well, but I struggle with the concept of forgiveness when I know that my perpetrator isn't feeling any remorse for what they did. I have a hard time finding that
No,
equation.
yeah, look, two perpetrators are dead and one's hanging out to die. She's not getting any younger, and I'm fascinated how the police, how the Brethren, how so many, I don't even know, people that know and knew, that I'd had many discussions, or Priestley's, or you name however you want to describe it. But let's just say I came out. There was no question about that. But I was made to feel like I was filthy. Now, if you hold on to that filth, you can't let something else in, because that whole filth has consumed my whole life, other than as I chose to part my ways and start afresh. My advice given to me by many people was, why don't you just get out of the country and go somewhere else? I said, well, I don't want to do that. I need to be working. I used to work Saturdays, Sundays. The church is full on and expects you to be going to all these churches and all that criteria. Me, isn't it funny? I'd always be late, or I'd be super early and caring for other people. But when I got there, all I could do is switch off, because it wasn't where I wanted to be. My mother used to sit behind me and kick the chair because she thought I was falling asleep. Well,
were you shy as a child?
No, I was so rude, crude, and undesirable to most people. If you said touch me, if you tried to touch me, I'd go, look, don't do that. Leave me alone. I never swore. Today I swear like a trooper, but I'm refraining
Mick,
from
you
that.
got to get rid of that habit, buddy. Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm really training myself to stop swearing, because guess what? It's a stupid way of thinking you can express when people learn to interpret.
Hey, I'm working here. What are you talking about?
Hey, I'm not here. I don't care what you say to me. You know, it's like water on a duck's back.
Said the word she.
She.
I'm gonna try to be as delicate as I can, but was one of your abusers a woman? Was one of your abusers a woman?
Yeah, I had more than two men, but I've had to give a skeleton of what happened through my life, because the skeleton was impossible for most to believe. In fact, I doubt that I've got many people that want to believe, and those that I've brought it to don't care to believe. So it's a really difficult growing up. You know, I'm talking about I was mature in many ways, but very immature in a lot of ways. The reason why I say that is
how old were you?
How do you mean?
When you had that awful experience with your female abuser, how old were you?
I was from 5 right through to 14.
Oh wow!
Do you know what it's like to be fucked involuntary? And see, I swear, but try having sex consensually 365 times in 10 years, maybe 3 times a day from different people. So come on, don't tell me I'm a broken man, okay? Really broken. But I've mended. I'm not back the way I was, because thank goodness for that. I have no intention of being as I was. But one of the things I've really worked so hard on myself, it's called self-judgment for me. It's to not react like I used to. Once upon a time, you could belt me, flog me. I'm talking about literally couldn't walk after a hiding. And today, you could belt me and I'll turn the other cheek, because when I walk away, I'm coming. And I have the most violent mental state in my mind every day. And I refrain from using my physical. I used to do bouncing so that I could let out. I used to do demolition so I could let my frustration out. I used to build rock walls just to pick up the biggest rock. I've seen a dozer pull up and go, wow, I've never seen a man move that much. And he said, how did you? Well, it's up here. And that's what I've done all my life. Used my brain. The gift my mother said I was so lazy.
Does it
I'm not
feel
lazy.
Does it feel like how do you imagine your life, if you ever have, or if you're even able to, if all of these awful things didn't happen to you? Like, do you ever let yourself go to that place where you try to imagine what
Yeah,
what you would be like?
of course I do. Of course I do. You know, I have a I don't have family that I have to do with. I have 2 children and a wife. I'm married. I love her so dearly. I mean, more dear.
Shout outs to Debbie. Yeah.
Oh, Debbie has been the best advice and care I could ever imagine. I've not gone without a meal, ever. I'm going to send you, I take photos now of
Is
the
it food?
fortunate.
Send me food. I want food.
Yeah, well, I could. And I'll tell you, I'd love to be able to do it, but I'm computer illiterate. All right. And I choose to be.
Okay.
I grew up in the 70s where voice recognition on the computers, in-house computers. I understand it. I don't want it. It was the thing that broke our family.
Yeah.
And I'll explain it to you like this. We had a Dover building in the city, 7-story building. It's heritage listed, irrespective. It was left to 4 boys, and I've never seen a thing of it. My point is, the reason why that building had to be sold was it was pretentious. It had a sign up on it that was totally against the Brethren, but it used to be a cigar making factory. Now, my grandparents started a business and bought that property, but Kent Street Properties ended up with that. There's no mention of the Kent Street Properties nowadays because if you expose that, you'd expose a whole lot of people that had their hand in the till.
Yeah, it's always like that, isn't it?
Yes, and they make out they're giving and they do things, all this RRT and that. Look, it's only a front to offset what really happens behind closed doors.
We talked before we came on the podcast before you came on the podcast rather about we want to be careful with how we conduct like this, but we want to be as in depth as possible. To your preconditions, which I'm absolutely in agreement with, are any of the people that harmed you still alive? Are you still there, Mick? Oh, there you are.
You
There
there?
you are. Sorry, I'm going to ask the question again because you disappeared there. Are any of the people that still harmed you still alive?
That's so annoying.
Did you hear me, buddy?
I don't know what to do. We're in
don't know
live and I can't get out of it. Hey, isn't that remarkable?
We're live here. I'm going to kick you out and
not being able to hear you.
He can't hear me. I'm going to kick him out, and then he's going to find his way back.
I really don't know how to fix it.
Watch this. I'm going to call him. This is what happens when you're live, everybody. But you know what? That was a good interview so far. So I'm going to. Mick.
We've lost each other, I think.
Yep. Click the link to go back in.
I don't know where that is.
I put in your message. I put in your messenger. I'm going to hang up so you can see it. Okay. First of all, can we just say that last 10 minutes, some of the most powerful recounting of horrible situations I've ever heard. regarding the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. This is I had to stop myself from breaking down, and I think we have him back. We have you,
Yeah.
but we have you, but you're sideways. But I kind of like it. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I'm an odd bod.
Yeah.
I
You know
don't
what?
fit in anywhere. I don't fit
Would you
in
mind standing on the wall, Mick? Can you stand on the wall, sir?
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
That's amazing.
Are you
I
trying
don't
to
know
take
where
this
we were.
out of me?
What would I asked you the question and you didn't hear me? If any of the perpetrators that harmed you are still alive?
Yeah, one woman, Jean Cox.
You sure?
She lived with my parents. She's a Brethren right now, and they're covering up a thing, because if I was given the opportunity to sit with her with no blame, no only a communication avenue left to say, remember this, this, and this, I doubt she could forget it. In actual fact, I know she can't forget it. The difference is that doesn't happen within the Brethren. You don't get to, you are the victim and you are the fault. And I've lived with that all my life. Yeah. I have a problem with it. Blame me for what you want. Say how you feel. I'll listen. But that's where I told you that I've literally gone the opposite direction. Once upon a time, you could belt the living daylights out of me. I'd look at you and think, is that all? I've had better than that. It didn't hurt, is the sort of comments I'd make. That didn't hurt. Well, you go a bit further than go on.
If she was sitting in front of you right now, what would you say to
I
her?
feel sorry for you. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. After having been cared for, the Brethren said, for example, that Jean was an employee. My lawyers told me Jean Cox was an employee. I reckon that makes it even worse. But she was a Brethren, and none of them understand that other than Brethren or ex-Brethren. She was an employee, but she didn't uphold her employment engagement unless she allowed what she did. And why do I say that? My father's words were, when I was not in the best of places at the time, my father's words were, as a young child, he said, Jean is your mother while your mother's not around. You know she's sick. You should be more compassionate. Well, while he's abusing me, you know what? I don't call that a mother. So the definition that the Brethren uphold about respect and have their hierarchy is nothing like they portray. I'll give you the best example. If you go to someone to give your opinion or take on something or ask a question or do, it is then revolved around priests and others that seem to assume. Yeah, how about I turn the phone back the other way and see if I can.
Yeah, please. There you go. Okay. No. Yeah. There you go. That's good.
Yeah, now I've got to work out how I'm going to set that up. I'll take my phone away. I'll use my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I know this is broken and it's not scripted. The point I make to you is I've got so much to say I wouldn't even know where to start and where to slope up or that. I know it sounds horrific to me and has been, but I don't know how to infer that to others. I don't know how they might, the torture that you are not, but you're the scapegoat for the cover up. You're the filthy one. You're the disgusting. I've been told I'm the son of the devil. I am born of the devil. And I asked my parents, so which one of you is the devil? Now, I've said this before, but if you get that confusion in your life where you're brought up to believe something and you can't question it, but you have a real problem with the actions that are not actioned in the relevance to what they bring you up as.
Actually, that's the giveaway. The giveaway for people that abuse children and that abuse anyone really, is that and it's funny because it's known in psychology as transference of
That's
guilt,
it. Yep.
right? So if there's someone that's really abusive, what they'll do is they'll take their victim, and they're all narcissists. All these abusers are narcissists, all of them, because you can only be a narcissistic sociopath in order to inflict that kind of abuse on somebody and not feel guilt. But what makes narcissistic sociopaths special is that they will take the person that they're abusing, their target, and they will try to convince as many people as they can that the opposite is happening, that this target is to blame for their own like behaviors or their own reactions to the abuse, and and to be told that they're immoral and with sin and demonic and all that shit. Whenever you see a young person get accused of all that, whoever's pointing that finger, look at that person very deeply, because they're
Well,
guilty of
that's
something, almost assuredly.
100%. Listen, first of all, an abuser is a power drunk person. All right, they're not doing it. Take it from me, a pedophile is not having sex; they are having control. It's so important to note that, because power is the most rewarding for them. That's the thing that builds them up to keep doing it as if they're innocent. And then you're left to feel filthy with the blame. And then you go through life constantly reflecting on, and this is where I'm at, what could have I done better? Every day I ask myself, what could I have done better today and learn for tomorrow? Because my vindictiveness is not there. If I could do this in a closed room, which has been offered to many people, I would like to do it for my own peace sake, because the lack of acknowledgement is the part that did the most damage. See, you felt.
Were there people that you told that were really special to you, that told you that you were lying, or that who didn't believe you?
Of course. And then there were the problem amongst the brethren, in my experience, was there was so much rivalry, and that's, I think, needs to be addressed. See, the minute some leader is threatened, he uses his threat of conversation to another to muster up support. And then what is made out is that person's wrong, so they withdraw from them. Now, no matter whether they were wrong or right, nothing is ever addressed, because they can be left, like my parents, for so many years wanting to come back in, wouldn't even come to our wedding, Debbie's and my wedding, because they wanted to get back. Well, that ain't natural. That isn't normal, in my opinion. I was at my daughter's wedding, and I wouldn't hesitate, but I refused to go to funerals. I'll give you the reason why I refused to go to funerals, because we used to walk past open casks. And when my grandfather died, I was 10 years of age. He died on the same day that the Westgate Bridge fell down in Melbourne. And it was significant. I remember where I was sitting, how it was, and that's my mind. But he was, there was a grave diggers strike, union strike, and he couldn't be buried. The man that could afford just about anything couldn't get buried. All right, and I love
grave diggers are allowed to strike.
Yeah, well,
That's crazy.
This is the funny part about it.
If there were ever a reason to hire scabs, it's grave diggers.
I love digging the ground, so call me a scab. Hey, listen, the reason why I brought that up is because my grandfather sat there, and it was an open coffin in the house. There was Glen sprayed around,
So you guys are Irish. You guys are like the Irish. They
Oh,
do
well,
the
I
same
don't know.
thing.
I
Yeah.
must be Irish. I could be all sorts of things. Who knows? If I'm the devil's son, I could be in it.
You're not the devil's son. You already said you're not a believer, so
Yeah,
you're
but that's
free
what
from
I'm
the
saying.
devil. It's
If you want
fine.
to believe
Oh,
it, you
good.
believe what you like.
Yeah.
I'm Irish. I don't give a damn.
I believe in Christopher Hitchens and Joe Pesci. I'm fine. I'm good. Don't worry about me. Yeah.
Anyway, look, one of the things that I found consoling for me was to read. I
Yeah.
used to proofread a lot of books, but I've read all sorts of books and read the Bible back to front and all sorts of things just to learn. One of the things I learned was that if you read, you can make your own decisions. And since
Yeah.
that
That's true.
day, I've realised it. I used to proofread without knowing, shall I say, or understanding what I was reading. Today, I read it and enjoy the fact that someone has a difference of opinion to me, because then it gives me an opportunity to reflect on myself and how I
You know how important.
know
Sorry, go ahead. Please
how I
continue.
thought it was
Finish.
so
Yeah.
important that I was right. No, it's not. It's the learning process that
Yeah.
goes with it. How could someone sit and go to church and not feel guilty when in actual fact it's the forgiveness they're supposedly looking for that I'm willing to share, learning to forgive, but you can't do it solely on your own. That's why I'm at this point where I am today, because one day I'll be at peace. I've tried to take my life so many times. I don't think you can count them on those hands. Let me tell you, I tried the most extreme ways to rid myself. I believed
Let me ask you, Mick. Let me ask you. When was the last time?
um, I was 21.
Okay, so like 10 years ago.
Love it. You're full of shit.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm joking because I'm glad it was a long time ago.
Well,
That's what
it's
really what
been
I'm saying.
across my
Yeah.
mind. If you meant that, it's been right up to. It's been
No,
right up
no.
to yesterday.
Ago.
This,
Yeah. Come on.
well, it
Come
has
on, Mick. Come on.
the attempt, but the mental strain has
Yeah, yeah, I
been
get you.
every day, and people don't know what that is to, or may not understand what that's like to combat on your own. I've got a wife that was never a brethren, yet people expect her to understand them. I think it's horrific that as I've got older, I've had to deal with it again, because the reasoning was my father went back into the brethren after telling my kids that he would never leave us again. That was to them, not to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less whether he was there or not. He did things in my home that he wouldn't allow me to do in his home. Yet the perpetrators and the people that were there are brethren still. I just don't get it. How can you, uh, as they say, break bread and drink the wine and pass your money over to think that that's going to solve what we are really faced with? Do we believe? I don't. Why? Because of my origin, not because I don't have the ability to reason. I could reason to believe, but it's not a comfortable place to be, because what is in my spirit is, if you believe, of God. If it's not, it's my personal, and
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not here.
it's very personal for everybody. I was wondering if the idea of belief and the experiences that you had. Um, Actually, let me phrase it like this. This is going to seem like it's completely out of left field, but I'm curious for a number of reasons. What is the main difference between, if there are any, between how an adult female and an adult male abuses a child?
You know, it's the method they use.
What is the difference?
What's the difference? Gender.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's what I mean. How and I'm sorry if this sounds just or
No,
over curious. But I'm curious. And here, I'll tell you why. I have read and have let's just say been informed about female abusers of children, and it's often very gray area stuff at the beginning. It's bathing, it's co-sleeping, it is not touching them, but putting themselves in a position where the children touch them instead. And that's how the initiation works and all this stuff. I'm wondering if that was a similar case with you, or was it almost like a female was behaving in a masculine way?
No, 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 no. I believe it could be misinterpreted as a masculine way, but I'll explain it the way
Okay.
I see it. And that is simply like this. I was, I don't know, coached to be prepared. Everything that happened in my life was either supply because or denial because. If the adult didn't get what they wanted, I was punished.
Yeah.
Now, whether that was physical or sexual was up to the individual. I'll explain it to you like this. With a male, they are bloody strong. They can overpower. I don't know how to better say this, but the female was equally as strong, knee-high to a bloody grasshopper. I used to
Yeah.
call her one-ton cox, okay?
One what? Sorry, you used to call her what?
One-ton cox, 1 ton run ton.
Okay, got it.
Well, I'll tell you why. 1 ton was the size of her because she was as wide as she is high. And when she ran after me, it was 1 ton flying after me. So it was 1 ton or run. 1 ton run.
Did you have friends that experienced the same thing as you did by the same people?
Can I say to you, I wasn't aware at the time. I thought I was the weird one. I've had it
You thought you
made
were.
to me
You
that
thought you. Sorry.
I,
You cut off there for a second. You thought you were the only one. Is that what you said?
I was the only one, yes, because
Yeah.
what I thought there was something strange or different about me. I thought I was led to believe that I was privileged, and that's the deceiving part of it. Privileged
That's
by
so devious. Oh my god.
that, and I want you to know, even lollies bought my attention.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry. I don't mean to
I
swear, dude, but like,
you don't need to be. This is my time to talk to you, and you can
yeah.
ask any question. The reason why is because I've got nothing to be ashamed of. I didn't do it. I didn't participate. I was forcefully. I asked you earlier on if you can tell me of one of you that have had consensual sex 365 times, multiplied by 10 years and possibly 3 times. I want to ask you, would you like me to describe which one?
I feel like the Brethren is cutting off this guy's feed because every time he gets into a.
It
There you are.
needs to be that torture of being wrong all your life, never been right about anything, because I'm getting harassed on this phone. You know what? No one calls me
Yeah.
any other time, and I
Oh, is
never
someone
pick up.
calling you? Is that
But
what it is?
today
Someone's calling
it
you?
seems to be happening.
Okay, okay. Well, we're tell that person to stop calling
Sorry,
you.
I can't get rid of it. It's
Yeah.
my wife. She misses me
Oh,
dearly.
yeah. Well, we're gonna let you go in a second here, actually. So, Debbie, you know what? Answer it. See what happens. I don't want. I don't want to leave Debbie hanging, Mick. Um, but I do have a few more questions because when you talk to someone who's
You there?
experienced, yep. There you go. Are you good?
I'm sorry, mate.
No, no, don't be sorry at all. I totally get it. I hope she. Oh, she's calling back again. Uh, And he's gone. Okay, he'll probably come back in any second now. So for 10 years, this gentleman was systematically raped by several adults inside the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church. I commend, first of all, his bravery for admitting that he went through something like that. I find it, it's a first for me on Blackballed to be discussing this with someone from the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church who was sexually abused by an adult female. It's more common than you think. Experts say that it often manifests, in most situations, it manifests via co-sleeping and bathing. And the third symptom among female adult offenders is that they won't start off by molesting the kids, but they'll finagle situations where the kids molest them. So it's co-sleeping, co-bathing, and having the kids touch them rather than the other way around, which is often the reason why female molesters and child abusers get away with doing that to children without much suspicion or even like criminal charges, is because the double standard between men and women are far different in the eyes of the law. Mick is trying to call me on Messenger right now. I'm assuming that means that we have ended the show. I think his wife is home. You know what? I kind of like it. I kind of like that. There's no goodbye. There's no long farewell. But either way, Mick, I think you're brave. I find everything that you said tonight to be completely powerful. And I'm so happy that you found a way to cope with everything you've gone through. And you found a wife who seems to be super good for you. So until then, we'll see you next time on Blackball.
Blackball. Blackball.